to Get Organized Challenge number 3, and we are going to talk about photos today. Piles of pictures, all of those pictures that just load up either physically or digitally or both. And really kind of the cool thing about this whole process is you're going to use the exact same system digitally as you would use physically. So we'll talk about the differences in the two and how they're the same actually as we get in, but we're going to talk about both, how to organize both today. So the first thing we need to start with though are the winners. So if you are new to the Get Organized Challenge, you want to join the Get Organized Challenge group on Facebook so you can put up a progress post. If you don't want to do that, I know some people aren't hip to Facebook, you can just email in a progress post. But every Monday night, Karen chooses from the progress posts, does a random choice, and 2 people who have posted their progress are going to win gift certificates to the Totally-Tiffany website. And this week we had the ugly paper contest winners as well. So let's start with the progress post winners, and the first one is Angie Bandy. She says, what a start. Once I got all my paper in one place, I realized I had a lot more than I thought. Hallelujah, sister. But I dedicated 60 minutes a day to sorting and got through the stack. Woo! I also noticed some of my papers are at least 15 years old, and while I like them, I'm obviously not going to use them, so they are in the donate pile. Yes, we love purging. I already scheduled to attend a crop this weekend, so my reward is being able to pack more efficiently and with the lighter load. Thank you for continuing to offer this opportunity. Congratulations, Angie. Sounds like you made a lot of progress this week, and you're going to go to the crop and then figure out what you need, and then you're going to be able to spend your Totally-Tiffany gift certificate. Woo! Okay, second winner is Shirley Dillon, and Shirley says, I've been following GOC for several years. I always sign up and jump in whenever I can. I don't think I've ever gone from start to finish as planned, but I do what I can. I always learn something, even if I've completed that particular challenge before. Things change, new ideas, new products, what need to be organized, and new thoughts on how to do it. In this week's challenge, something Karen said hit home with me. She talked about the cozy crop house that Kate said something to the effect of, I can let that go, or something to like that. I was a CMC for many years and keep all my old Lasting Moments magazine and page patterns and a lot of stuff from my old Creative Memories days. I gave myself permission to let it go. The before and after picture of a cupboard now empty. I have tremendous feeling of accomplishment. Woo! And a lot more space. You know, that is really, really an important piece of the puzzle. And actually comments in both, from both our winners about just really unloading something. So even if you like them, if the odds are that you're not going to use them, most of us have so much stuff that even, I know you hear me say this all the time, even if you got to craft a little bit every day for the rest of your life, you'd never make it through all of those things. So purging gives you a lighter load, less stuff to dig through, less stuff to look through, so you can really find the stuff you want to work with more quickly, more easily, and get more done, have more fun, invite more friends in because you're feeling extra crafty, all that good stuff. So congratulations to our 2 winners, Angie Bandy and Shirley Dillon. And our ugly paper winners, now you're going to have to go on to the Facebook page to see how ugly this paper is because we don't have a color printer, so I couldn't print it out to show you what it looks like in color. So the 2 ugly paper winners, Robin Weintraub Kramer and Chris Reed. And Karen will be reaching out to both of you with your prizes this week. But everybody who hasn't checked out the ugly paper contest, please take a minute and do that in the Facebook group. We also, because it's photo week, we're going to have the ugly photo contest as well. So as you're going through your photos, be sure you're setting aside that your ugliest photo that you would probably actually never scrap. Actually, now you might scrap it if it wins the ugly photo contest, though, then it might be worth keeping, right? So be prepared for that this week. What is our goal this week? Our goal is to have a strong system for organizing, sorting, and organizing our photos, whether that's digital or physical, right? That is our main goal. Let's get the photos organized with a system that we can keep using moving forward. So what are you going to need? For digital photo, you're going to need some sort of organizing software, and there are tons of them out there. Most computers come with them. I get in trouble for saying this because I use a really old one that's not even supported anymore. It's called Picasa, and actually mine just started to peter out on me in this last week, and some of the functionality is not even working anymore. So I'm going to find a new one. I will post up what I choose for a new photo organizing software. But most computers come with, even if it's just Microsoft Picture Manager, right? So there are some good basic photo sorting, but you need to know what that is and what you're going to use. You need some sort of storage box for your printed photos, and we'll talk a little bit about those options. A perpetual calendar, either on your computer or in the real world. And then things like paper, folders, sticky notes, all the things that you're going to use to label your boxes, and also label the photos by group within those boxes. Pretty simple list. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to do, step one, is to gather all your photos together, right? And they're stashed everywhere. There's probably a couple old packets of photos in your junk drawer. There's probably some in your nightstand. You know they're all over your craft room. So maybe there's some in the pocket of your car door, right, which is where mine used to always end up. So dig around and try to bring all those together. Why do we do that? Why do we gather them together? Because you get this great sense of accomplishment when you have a big pile of something and you get it sorted out or get it put away. You get like that little brain, woo, I got that done. And you get overwhelmed and frustrated when you keep finding them after you think you're done. So do the best job you can to pull all those things together, get them all in one space, and then we can work through that pile of photos in one space. Same thing with your digital photos, right? One of the nice things about photo software, organizing software, is that you can tell it to pull all the photos from your computer, and it'll bring everything into those files all by itself. You don't have to hunt and peck around your computer looking for those. You just say, find all the JPEGs, and it'll bring them all into one, usually chronological file for you. And it's going to bring in any JPEG you've ever saved. So if you've saved things like, I don't know, HSN logos onto your computer, it's going to dump those in there as well. Okay, so step two, physical photos. Avoid getting overwhelmed. Your first step should be to get your photos sorted into boxes, right? So at the very least, you're going to take all those photos and you're going to just put them into photo storage boxes, and then we're going to work through each box, need to be sorted, to and from dates. Okay, so initially, it doesn't really matter how they get in there, right? We're just trying to take control. So your first boxes are going to be labeled like this, right? Just says, these are ready to sort, need to sort, right? That's step one. Then the next step you're going to do is sort by year. Step two. Step three, sort the years by months or events. And then the last step is ready to scrap. So your photos are going to work through that whole process. I think I have this Sterilite logo. I'm not promoting Sterilite for free. I'm just kidding. Boom, right? Okay, so this is a great big tub. It's heavy, but it holds a ton of photos. You can use any kind of box to get those photos together. If they're already in chronological order, that's great. If you have boxes that are labeled and you're finding more photos, you can put them into that chronological order. First step is gather them all together. Second step is get them organized just to and from dates and that they need to be sorted. Next step is that they're in that to and from dates and sorted. And then the last step is that ready to scrap step. So that's where we're going to really kind of get detailed on how we're going to organize photos. It's weird not to have my computer. I usually just click through my things. One of the things that's really going to help you get your photos organized is to create a family timeline. And this was a suggestion that someone made years ago during the challenge, and I think it's brilliant, and it does make things easy. There's a lot of different ways to create a family timeline, right? You can do something as simple as this, just index cards with, you know, the year and then some basic information. You can do something like this, if you just want to stretch it out along your wall and actually see that. So it's helpful. I know there's people who have used the wall of their craft room as a family timeline, and then you can add, you know, ribbon to different pictures or to different events, and it just turns into kind of this beautiful life collage on your wall that you can continue to add to. But when you're trying to journal or work on certain scrapbook layouts or scrapbook pages, it's nice to know. I mean, sometimes we find pictures of our kids when they're between the ages of 3 and 5, and you're like, was he 3 or was he 5? What's going on there, right? So the family timeline is going to give you clues to what's happening in those pictures and how old your kids were, where you were, what was going on. So you can do something, index cards, you can do something on the wall. Last time we did the challenge, I started a family timeline in just a notebook, right? So I just added little tabs for each year, and then I could go through and just make notes and use up some of my stickers and other products and make it kind of cute. So it's not really a journal because all the information in it is kind of just quick bullet points. But if I want to remember what year we went to China, was that 2017, 2018, 2016, I can just flip to my little journal here or my little family timeline book and see all the different things and places that we've been. I just left a couple of pages. There's actually a blog post about this. I don't know if Karen has got that on the follow-up email, but if not, we will add it to the Get Organized Challenge page. But something where you can keep track of kids' ages, where you were, what you did, in just kind of a quick, easy bullet point kind of way, and that's going to help you sort photos. And as you come across photos, it makes it easy to make a note as well, so that if you find pictures from a trip to Disneyland, you find 2 of them, that was in 2012, you can go ahead and write them on your family timeline, and then as you come across more from that same trip, you already know, oh, those go in 2012. So it's going to help you sort and stay organized and organize more quickly once you get it done. And it really is super fun. You get your family involved in it as well, doing that family timeline. Mine is kind of a little bit turning into a junk journal as well. So I had this fantasy. Some of you know that I travel a lot for work. So I have all these boarding passes that I've been just hanging on to, and I'm thinking, oh, those would make some kind of really cool like travel journal pages or something. So those are just kind of all clipped in there. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work, but it is fun. It can kind of be a junk journal, which is fun. But one of the things I love about it, I'm kind of on a tangent here, is that you can use your stuff, right? So we're coming across stickers and die cuts and things that are old that we maybe wouldn't use, and they're just super fun to throw in there and kind of jazz up that timeline. But family timeline is your next step, really important, and it's going to make it a lot easier to sort and organize your photos. The next thing you're going to do is you are going to create some sorting guides. So once you've got your pictures sorted by year and you're ready to sort by into more details, then that's when your sorting guides are going to kick in, right? So sorting guides, these are ones I've been using over and over again. This is the year, and then I just write additional information on each one of them, and then I can reuse them. So and I have certain codes for certain things. So SB is spring break, right? One of the things about making notes and journaling is the easier you can make it on yourself, the more likely you are to actually do it. So when you are either writing on the back of pictures or adding sticky notes to the back of pictures with details on them, if you have some shortcuts that you can use, it's a great way to do it. So I always abbreviate spring break as SB. So this is where we went. This is 4th of July, what happened, where we were in August, what big event in September. So as I'm sorting, September of 2009 was Mike's wedding. So if I come across pictures from the wedding, I've got my sorting guide. It's really easy to be like, oh, that was 2009. I don't have to look at it and go, when did he get married in 2008? Did he get married in 2010? So once you've got them sorted into, and you're ready to start sorting into scrapbooking, that's where this is really going to help you out, right? And then got some different little notes here. What's at the bottom for me is really kind of the important thing. This is where I keep track of how old my kids were this year and what grade they were in. So LT, that's London, he was in 7th grade, moved into 8th grade. He had his 13th birthday, right? I don't know if you're, could just be me, but I'm always like counting. If he was born this year, what was his birth date? How old did he turn that year? A little tongue-tied today. Max turned 11. He was in 5th and 6th grade, right? So any big events on your sorting guides, that's what you want to put down because it's going to make it that much easier to sort once you're by year to sort into piles of events, and that is what's going to take you the next step to organizing for your scrapbooking pages, okay? So your goal is to get your first sort done, everything's in boxes. Your second sort done, everything is in year. Your third sort, you're going to break down everything in those years by events, and then you're going to get them into what we call ready to scrap. I'm kind of ahead of my presentation, as I usually am. All right. So we've got everything organized. Now you're going to sort into your stacks and events, and then you're going to choose ready to scrap, right? So ready to scrap, and I have a little kind of cheater project here to kind of go through this process. So these photos from 2018. And when I'm getting ready to do ready to scrap, this is just one segment of 2018. I took a big trip at the end of the year, and these are all the things that I want to scrap about that trip. These are the photos. So when I'm ready to break this down into ready to scrap, I'm going to use these to help guide me through picking those pictures for that event. Now, one of the steps that's really important when you get to this point of choosing your ready to scrap photos is choosing how many pictures are going to fit on a layout page for you. So I choose 6. This kind of freaks people out because they think, oh my gosh, what if I want to put more than 6? What if I don't want to put 6? Well, your brain loves to have an answer. It loves it. It does not like ambiguity. So if you say to yourself, my number for per page, per layout is 6 photos, then you know as you're going through those photos, you're going to choose 6, the 6 best photos for that. So the first page in my India trip is called Getting There. So I am going to be able to choose 6 pictures getting there, right? And that's going to be, I'm going to be able to check that off. I have these 6 pictures, right? I can put the rest of the pictures right back into chronological order and save them. I don't have to get rid of them. This is how I'm going to segment things down and be ready to go when I am ready to actually scrap these pictures, right? So one of the problems with not doing this is that if you say, okay, here's my photos from India, and you have to look through them every time, you get distracted and sidelined instead of actually getting things done. Well, now if I say, okay, these are my getting there pictures, these 6, right? I can check that off and add a sticky note that says getting there, okay? Next is Delhi, right? I'm going to do one double page spread of Delhi, so I get to choose 12 pictures from being in Delhi. Boom, that's done. Once I've chosen all of them, I'm just going to fold them into this piece of paper, and I'm going to put them back in. This piece of paper is too big for this box. One of the upsides to using the Sterilite box is that you can actually use a full-size 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. So now I've got those pictures. They're already ready to go. They're still in chronological order. This is really important. Don't separate your pictures until you are actually ready to scrapbook them. So you want to put them into chronological order, get them all organized in chronological order, get them organized into events, and then start separating out photos as you're ready to work on them. But don't take them apart until you're actually ready to work on them. One of the other questions that I get all the time is, should I separate photos by kids? Like, these are all the pictures of London's, these are all the pictures of Max. And I would again say no. Keep everything in chronological order until you are actually ready to work with it. So you can do some prep work, you can do some sorting, and just put them right back in chronological order. And then when you think, oh, I want to work on the India trip, you can go to that box and you're ready to go, right? But if you think, oh, I'm going to work on the India trip, but you took all the pictures of Max in India and put them somewhere, and all the pictures of London and put them somewhere else, now you have to remember, oh, I've got my pictures, but now I need to go over here and get these pictures of London or these pictures of Max and pull them together into those pages. So keep everything in chronological order until you are ready to actually start working with it. You can subdivide, group things together using that. I'm going to do 6 pictures per page and put them back in the box. Or you can say, okay, I've got all the India. Today I'm going to decide what I'm using in the album. And then you can put that album kit together, bring it to your workspace if that's what you're going to work on next, right? one of the things that happens with photos is there are so many of them that it's really easy to get overwhelmed whether you're looking at them digitally or physically. So it's important for your brain, for the sake of your brain, to bring one box at a time and just work one box at a time. It's one of the things that I actually recommend. You know, generally my mantra is easy to see, visible, and accessible, but with photos, it's really easy to get overwhelmed. So it's the one thing that I say, go ahead and put those in the closet once they're labeled, and when you're ready to work on them, take one box out at a time. And you can even move them into smaller segments, right? So this box, this is a 4x6 fab file. If you're unfamiliar with fab files, they come with these little plastic reusable file folders. So this is a trip to Disneyland. I work on 3 albums at a time, so you can see I've got them labeled M, LT, and Max. So these are Mom, mine, London's, and Max's. So when I'm doing photo albums for all 3 of us, I'm working on the same pages for all of us at the same time. They're a little bit different, obviously. You know, Max and London have their pictures of mostly of themselves as well as each other. I have pictures of everybody in mine. So the file folders in this little box, if I'm only working on that Disney album, this is all that needs to come to my workspace, right? I'm not overwhelmed by having these giant boxes of pictures. If for some reason I think, oh, I wish I would have chosen something else, these are from 2005, I can go to the 2005 box, Disneyland, and I know exactly where to go to find those photos because I have the dates, I have them in chronological order, right? So I'm going to pull those out and I'm going to use them on my workspace. It's easy to store, but it makes it super simple to just go stay focused on whatever I'm working on. Also, your sorting, when you get to this point, right, this is a great place also to write notes, journaling notes to yourself or whatever. So as you're planning that album or those pages, you can use your sort of guide for how many pages you're going to do. It really freaks people out to think that they're going to choose in advance of how many pages they're going to do. But it really helps your brain. It helps your brain settle in on the project and understand the scope of the project, as well as if you're buying paper for a particular album, how many sheets of paper do I need, right? So for every double page layout I do, I buy 3 sheets of paper because there's a good chance I'm going to mess something up. But it's easy then to go, okay, I'm going to do, you know, what do I have on here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 double page layouts of India. If I want to go consistently with the background paper or the color or whatever, I know that 21 sheets is going to get me through 7 layouts, right? Did I do the math on that right? Makes it simple to buy what you need as opposed to buying too much, or worse, not buying enough and getting halfway through a project and not having exactly what you need to get that project done. Okay, there's always a lot of questions in photos, so if you have questions, Karen will be answering them if you type the word question, which I totally skipped, into the chat box, and if for some reason it's something she can't answer, she'll bring it upstairs at the end of class. So, all right, work to the ready to scrap. Now, any kind of, I thought I had a little, well, I guess I kind of usually have a little file folder that has everything on it, but use your papers to make notes, right, of what things are. One of the things about photos, too, is that it's pretty, or it is subjective because it's a time, no, not subjective, objective, right? There's no gray area. So other people can help you and contribute, so it might be great to get notes from your family. What is their memory like? And all those little journal notes can go right on your sorting guides for each event that you're working on. I hope that makes sense. I was kind of right in the middle of things. Okay, so digital photos are the same way. So with physical photos, we got all our photos together, which is what you're going to do in your digital world. You're going to bring all your photos into your photo organizing software, and then you're going to sort within that photo organizing software by year. And then within the year, you're going to sort by event. So that could be somebody's birthday, Christmas, Mother's Day, whatever it is, try to be consistent with how you're naming your file folders, because with digital, one of the upsides is being able to use the names of your pictures to sort and find a bunch of related things all at the same time. I'm going to talk about that in naming and tagging in just a minute. But you want to name your photos consistently. So if you're always calling Christmas Xmas as your photo name, when you want to when you want to see all your Christmas folders at one time, you can do that because they're all named the same, versus calling some of them Christmas with a C and Xmas with an S. So try to stay consistent in not only how you name your folders, but also how you name your pictures. And we're going to talk more about that. Same process though. So when you're naming your photos, they automatically have all jumbled up in the name. When you download them, they automatically have the date already in there, right? There's a bunch of numbers, and then there's a bunch more numbers, and those are the date. So you've already got them dated. But for most of us, remembering a date is not what day were you in Disneyland in 2009? Difficult to pull that out if you can even remember that was the year, right? So I totally recommend leaving the date in there, but tagging the photos also, or naming the photos with some clues for what they are. Disney, Max, birthday, and I use BDAY as birthday, and then I have different codes for different people in my life that I'm consistently using, and that is where a perpetual calendar comes in. So if you've never seen a perpetual calendar, this is not exactly what they were intended for, but a perpetual calendar has no days of the week. So this is January, it just has lines 1 through 31. This is also called a birthday calendar. So the point of this calendar was that you could write everybody's birthday on it, and then every year you would be able to remember birthdays, and you could use it forever because it's not the day of the week, right? Now we have Facebook, which helps us remember people's birthdays. But I use this to tag my photos. So New Year's Day, I always use the code NYD. If it's someone's birthday, I always use whatever code I've highlighted. So this is my sister Tisa, right? And T-I-S-A, her real name is Teresa. So that's much shorter, so it's faster. But if I want to search for any photos I have of Tisa's birthday, I can just type in Tisa, B-D-A-Y, and it'll bring up all the photos I have of Teresa's birthday, whether it was her first birthday, which I wasn't born yet for because she's older than me, or it was her 55th birthday, which I think she just celebrated. How old am I? I think that's right. I think I'm 54, so she's 55. So, so it just makes it so much easier if you are consistently naming things the same. So if I wanted to see all of Max's birthdays, I would just have to type in Max BDAY, and I would only get those. If I just type in BDAY, I'm going to get birthday pictures of everybody. Or you could put BDAY in a year, then I'm going to get Max's birthday pictures in that year, and London's and Tisa's and everybody else, right? So tagging your pictures, and it doesn't have to get super detailed. It just has to be enough that you can search. So what would you search for in those pictures, and then tag them simply that way, right? You also want to stay consistent with, if you're putting the date in yourself, if you put the month, day, and year, your computer is going to sort by the month first. So you're not going to get things in chronological order. So if you want things to stay in chronological order, go year first, then month, then day, and you have to use double digits, right? So this is July, so 07 instead of just 7, and that way if you sort chronologically, everything is going to stay in chronological order if you're looking at things by date. Just a little clue there for something to think about ahead of actually doing it, right? So all of these things are mistakes that I've made, like dating my photos wrong so that I couldn't sort them chronologically. So just a little bit of what I did, and you don't have to make the same mistake that I did. So perpetual calendar is very helpful for that. You can do that on your computer as well in an Excel document. It's just fast and easy to flip through that and see what you've got. Okay, so this week we have an ugly photo contest, as I mentioned earlier, and one of my favorite quotes about that is from Abraham Lincoln, and he said, there are no bad pictures, that's just how your face looks sometimes. So, which is true, but it is just how Max is saying his face never looks bad in pictures. So it's good to have the confidence of the young, isn't it? All right, so here's your big mission for this week. Oh, I was going to talk about, I'm going to talk a little bit. The Flip and Storage Binder is on sale this week. So if you are unfamiliar with it, I was actually going to sort into it. This is a great tool for organizing photos by layout when you are ready to scrap. So the pockets on the front are 4x6 and the pockets on the back are 5x7, which is not nearly as common a size for photos, but obviously 4x6 photos will fit in there as well. So if I go back to, if I was prepping for the India trip, I could take each set of pictures. So these are the getting there pictures, right? And each layout that I was going to do, these are my getting there pictures. These are the pictures from Delhi. So when I was ready to, rather than using a fab file to organize these, I could do the same thing and have everything. So when I'm ready to do those pages, all ready to go. And then this is completely reusable, right? So you can put your notes in one of the pockets. I would just fold this up and put it in the pocket in the back. So I had my notes on what my plan was. And we're going to talk more about album planning and that type of thing in challenge number 7, which is called Mementos and Album Planning and Project Planning. So we'll talk more about that. But in terms of grouping your pictures by layout and getting them sorted for you're ready to scrap using something like the Flip and Storage Binder. And these are on sale this week. Buy one, get one half off. And if you are a member of the Get Organized Challenge group, which I'm assuming all of you are, this is one of the specials that you can actually use your Get Organized Challenge group additional 10% discount on. So if you want to organize in Flip and Storage Binders, this is the week to do it. Okay, so if you have questions that have not been answered, now is the time to ask. Oh, Max has questions. What do you have, Max?
Kathy Morse asked, we document in our timeline books. Should we include only physical photos as we organize them, or should we add the digital as well?
Oh, that's great. That is a great question. Thank you. So Kathy says, I don't know if you could pick it up with Mac. She's asking, in your timeline books, should you document your physical photos or your digital photos as well? And that is one thing that I totally skipped over. Absolutely. So if you have your pictures organized from your trip to India, whatever it is, you could just put a note in here that these are ready to go. They're in the box labeled, 2019. And I have digital photos as well and where those are located. So that's awesome. Thank you for asking that. But you totally should think about your timeline as a way to connect things back and forth, right? We're going to talk more and more about that as we go through, which Karen probably talked a little bit last week. So big shout out to Karen. Woo! Thank you for teaching last week. Everybody had a great time. Awesome reviews on Karen's paper class last week. So thank you, Karen, for jumping in on that. I did watch a little bit of it. I was at HSN, so I could pop in for a minute. And some of you saw me a few little comments there, but that was awesome. It was super fun for me to get to watch Karen, because usually when she teaches, I'm doing something where I don't get to watch, so that was great. I was actually checking out Max's camera work to make sure that he was on the ball that day, and he did an okay job. Okay. So yes, anything like that, that is a great comment. Anything like that you can put a note in your timeline that's going to tell you, and we'll talk more about this on Memento Week, where are the mementos for that? Where are the photos for that? What other connections you might want to have to that particular event. Your family timeline is a great place to put that. So thank you so much for Kathy for bringing that up. Any other questions?
Janice said, what if you don't scrapbook chronologically?
It doesn't matter if you don't scrapbook chronologically, because you still need your photos organized chronologically, because that is how your brain works, right? So I don't know, some of you have been around a while. The very first article I ever wrote about scrapbooking was for an old magazine called Snapshot Memories. Those of you who have been crafting for a long time maybe know that magazine. It was a Better Homes and Gardens publication, and it was called Scrap Traps, and it was the 9 things, I think it was 9 things, that stopped me from actually scrapbooking, right? These mental hurdles I had to get over. And one of them was that I had in my head that I had to scrapbook chronologically. That was how you did it. You had to do the old stuff before you got to do the new stuff, which was a bummer because the new stuff is the stuff you were excited about doing, usually. So I sort of had to get over that and say, give myself permission, something we talked about in the very beginning of class, give myself permission to do something different, which was scrapbook whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, and then I could just integrate those pages in as they were completed, right? I can just, which is one of the nice things about like top-loading pages, page protectors, is that you can easily slide things into chronological order in your scrapbooks, even if you're working out of chronological order. But the reason you want to put your pictures in chronological order is because it's the easiest possible way for your brain to find them, right? Your brain, it works linearly, and it makes sense that if you needed something from 2009 that you would find it in a box marked 2009. And you can add stuff to the front of your boxes if that's helpful. So maybe you want to put 2009 and then, you know, SB, Spring Break in Moab, Disney trip, Mom turned 60, whatever it is, on the front of the box, so that if you are wanting to scrap by event or something, you know, holiday or whatever, the front of the box is going to give you a shortcut to what that is as well, or what's in that box as well, especially if you have multiple boxes for each year. So, but keep things in chronological order, pull them out of chronological order and work with them. Put whatever you have left over back in chronological order, and that is going to serve you well also. So one of the things I did when my kids were little, when I was better at keeping up with scrapbooking, Max is giving me the look, is after I was done scrapping, I would have these boxes that were in chronological order of pictures, and I knew that I had already taken what I wanted, and I was able to take those with me to my mom's or my mother-in-law's, and they could go through them and just pull out the pictures that they wanted. And my kids, when they were doing projects for school, they could do their, like, my personal timeline projects or whatever, family, all about my family or whatever it is. They could also get into those boxes chronologically and pull out what they needed. And because I had already scrapped those things, I was good about, like, it doesn't really matter. But because everything was in chronological order, it was easy to find. And as your kids get older and they get married, a lot of times, again, Max is giving me the look like, what? A lot of times at a wedding or before a wedding, one of the things that's kind of traditional to do is do kind of a timeline of your kids, or put up pictures from, you know, birth till marriage, you know, at the event, different events that you're having. So it makes it really easy to get into your chronological boxes and pull those out as well. Again, you know which ones you've scrapped and which ones you haven't, which I want to go back real quickly to digital photos, because one of the things that happens with digital photos is, and I usually have a big picture print out of it, but it didn't print. You print the photos and then you forget that you printed them, right? So in your digital files, you are going to go, these are my, you know, Disney 2009 pictures, and if you add a big capital letter P to that file name, then you know those are already printed. And if you need to, leave yourself a note about where they are in the 2009 ready to scrap box, or I put these in my crop tote, or whatever it is, so that when you are looking for those pictures, you know these are already printed and where to find them. So with digital, you want to make sure that you make that note, otherwise you'll end up printing them over and over again. Do you have any other questions, Max? Oh.
What about someone who's taking, Joyce would like to know what she should do if she's not a scrapbooker. Should she work on stamp organization this week?
Joyce, if you are not a scrapbooker and your paper and your scraps are organized, woo, then you could absolutely, what do we do? What is next week? I can't remember. I need my little cheat notes. Maybe Karen can pop up a little comment and tell us what's happening next week in that realm of I think it's paper photos, might be embellishments next week. So embellishments are going to be usually a lot of work, even for card makers. And they're going to follow along that same 4-section system. So if you want to kind of get a jump on next week, you could pop in and to YouTube and take a sneak peek at last year's embellishment class, and that would give you some direction if you want to get started on embellishments. I'm impressed that you don't have any photos, even if you're not a scrapbooker. Although maybe they're all organized, right? If we just download our photos, here's my other piece of advice to you. Before you start downloading photos off your phone or off your camera, make sure you have time to actually put them in the right place, right? So often we download things off our devices right onto our desktop or into some open folder, or we download them into a file folder and we don't label it, and so it's almost impossible to find again. So before you sit down and download things out of your phone or your camera, make sure that you kind of have a plan about where they're going to go, and open the right folder or label the right folder and move it over, because then you won't be... this comes about because at one point I downloaded my kids' Halloween pictures, and the file that was open when I did the download was the dog's vet records, and I could, because I downloaded them and didn't tag them or name them or label them, when I downloaded them, I had no idea where they went. And then when I downloaded new photo management software, at the time it was Picasa, Picasa went out and pulled all the JPEGs from all over my computer, and boom, there were those Halloween pictures. And I was like, where are those? And there they are, a dog's vet record. So that's kind of crazy stuff. So put your things away in the right place the first time, and you'll be in good shape. All right, let's talk about this week's challenge, since we don't have any more questions. The first thing you need to do, first on your list, is establish your physical and computer filing systems. So are you going to use boxes, photo boxes? Are you going to use Sterilite boxes? How are you going to organize those photos? What are you going to put them in? You're going to create a family timeline of some sort. It can be funky and fun, like a timeline notebook, and we will put up, like I said, a link to that blog post about how I did that. Or it can be something on the wall, or it can be index cards. You just need something that you can refer back to, so that when you're sorting photos, it's easy to make notes about what things happened when. Your goal is to sort 2 boxes, piles, bins, totes, drawers, whatever they are, of photos. Now, one of the great things about photos is that you can recruit people to help you, and I would really advise that, especially if you like do family home evening or game night or something. Substitute that out with family photo night and get everybody sitting around the table. Make sure you have a journal of some sort, because what you remember from a family event is tremendously different than what your kids or your husband remember from that event. So you will get lots of good journaling notes and memories from your family as you're sitting around sorting photos together. So make that your family home evening or your family game night or Sunday after dinner or one of those things, and get people recruited. You'll get the work done, and you will also get a bunch more insight into the event that you can write down. So you're going to add 1 additional box, bin, drawer, tote for each family member that you recruit. You are going to sort 1 year of digital photos. If you're still working on paper, you're going to sort 4 inches of paper. Max has a question. What do you got, Max?
I have 2, actually.
Oh.
Any tips for organizing photos from previous generations? I have no idea of year.
Oh, gosh. One of the biggest challenges is, as scrapbookers, you become the family record keeper, and people hand over all of these bits and pieces of information to you, and photos that are unlabeled and undated. And it really is, you have a question, what is it? No? It really is difficult to, sort those out. So the best thing you can do is get them at family evening. Try to get aunts and uncles, maybe grandparents involved in that, and go through. But you'll notice how people look, how they're dressed, cars in the background, those types of things that are going to help you at least get those things into chronological order. One of the best things that I've heard of anyone doing was taking those pictures, scanning them, and uploading them to their Facebook page, and then sharing them with their family members, saying, who is this, what year is this, all of that, because you'll find that that is a great way to connect if people aren't, if you don't have grandparents or aunts or uncles in the area, it's a great way to get all those people involved. And again, you're going to collect some stories with that as well. So if you have older generations from your family around that can help you, that's one way to do it. The other thing is, when you post those pictures up on your timeline, maybe there's an advertisement in the background or a car in the background or something like that, and somebody that doesn't know who's in the picture will be able to say to you, oh, that's a 1957 Chevy, or oh, that's a Burma Shave ad from, 1929 or whatever it is, because the different things that are in the background are going to tell a little bit about the story, and that is going to make your story even better, knowing those tidbits of information. So get them out there on your Facebook page and your family page, and you'll get answers.
Another question was, where are you typing in these codes to bring up the pictures? Like your
Oh, perfect. So all you have to do is get into your picture manager software, and just in the search box, you can type in whatever code and a comma or space and the next code. So if I'm going to look for birthday, Max's birthday, I'm going to go into the search box, type in Max, comma, BDAY, and anything that's coded within that photo organizing software with those two terms is going to come up. And again, if you just type in B-Day, you're going to get everybody that has a birthday picture for every year. Or if you've got your things organized date, year, month, day, you could also search birthday or B-Day 2009 or whatever. So it's just simple search function. And here's the other tip. You don't have to tag every picture individually. You just have to get the major ideas. So if I had birthday pictures of my sister, that was a dinner party that we had for her when she turned 50, and my brother-in-law was there, my mom and my kids and everybody else, I don't necessarily have to put all that information. I'm going to highlight all the pictures in that file, and I'm going to right-click and rename Tisa, B-Day, maybe 50th, anything that I might search for. And then the date is going to be there, right? So I'm going to tag all those pictures essentially the same. But I know that if I'm looking for a picture of Max at Tisa's 50th birthday party, I can just go to Tisa's 50th birthday and see, and then find the picture of Max. So if you want to be committed to tagging, renaming each picture with everybody that's in the picture, you can do that as well. And then, of course, you can, when you're searching, it's even easier to dial it in. If you don't have time to do that right away, I would recommend renaming all of them and then going back and just picking a few of the pictures to specifically tag things that are in that particular picture. But it does make it really simple to find anything. Is that it, Max?
Yep.
Okay, so you're going to sort 1 year of digital pictures. I'm going to start at the beginning. This is your challenge this week, people. Establish your physical and computer filing systems for your photos. Create a family timeline. Sort 2 boxes, bins, drawers, piles, whatever you've got of photos, unless you can recruit family members to help you, and then you need to sort 1 more box, bin, drawer, tote of pictures for each family member that you recruited to help you. You're going to sort 1 year of digital photos. You're going to sort, don't be afraid to delete things. I forgot to say that, right? You can delete all the pictures of things that that are pointless. Part of the thing with digital for us is that we think, well, it's free to take all those pictures, and it's free to keep all those pictures. I don't really need to delete anything out. This is a great time if something's obvious that you're never going to use it or never going to look at it again, delete it out. It's just like having 15 years worth of paper, right? You don't want to have to dig through 15 years worth of photos of things that you're never going to look at again just because you have them. You don't want to label them. You don't want them to take up space in your computer or your hard drive or whatever. You don't want to have to dig past them. So don't be afraid to delete pictures that you're never going to use. It was different when we had a roll of film and you only got 24 pictures on that roll of film, and you would keep pictures that maybe were a little bit fuzzy or they weren't that flattering because that was all you had. We don't need to do that anymore. So delete those out. Okay, sort 4 inches of paper if you're still sorting paper. Submit an ugly photo entry. You don't have to do this, but you throw up your ugly photo entries. People will comment on them. If that doesn't make you very happy, then don't put up your ugly photo. It is all in fun, and we encourage you to participate just because it is fun. We have all taken ugly photos, whether they're ugly photos of ourselves or our offspring. Max says there's no such thing as an ugly photo of him. All right, post on Facebook. Post your progress on Facebook or email customer service at Totally-Tiffany with progress post in the subject line, and you will be entered into the progress post giveaway. And then enjoy your reward, which is really, really important. Reward your brain and reward yourself for the work that you've done this week. All right, ladies, crafters, there's probably some guys out there. Ken and George, if you're on board with us. Maybe Steven's out there, or Michael today. Big shout out. Hey, I don't know if the Tucci crew is watching today, but if they are, glad to have you with us. I'm going to talk just briefly about the products that we offer to help you get your photos organized. It's a pretty quick little presentation. So if you're looking for ways to organize your photos, and our products are mainly designed around, or they all are designed around when you're ready to make that move to the ready to scrap phase, right? We don't have any big boxes that are going to hold years worth of unsorted photos, but when you are ready to actually get to that part of ready to scrap, we've got a couple of different options. If you are unfamiliar with our fab files, which come in 9 different sizes now, the first 2 fab files we ever came up with were specific for photo organization, and that is why they were designed unique to the fab files, which you saw earlier in the class today. You get 6 of the plastic file folders, and these have a little pocket in the front where you can slip in a little note card with all the details about that event. You can also, on that note card, label the end, which gives you, this one's not full, so we'll see what you can see on the camera, Max. Hard to see on the camera. You can turn the box on its back, and then you can see really the details of what's in there. Getting there, the characters, the parade, the hotel, whatever it is from this particular trip. So it's kind of a fun little way to create a little library of things. So that comes in 4x6 and 5x7. And the 5x7 also has the same, here's what the note cards look like when you first get them. They're just blank, but it's the same plastic file folder that's reusable. One of the nice things about the 5x7 is obviously it'll hold 4x6 and 5x7, but it fits like most postcard sizes as well. So a lot of times when I travel, there's some beautiful landscape or thing, building, whatever, that I want a picture of, and some professional photographer has done a much better job than I can. I'll just buy postcards from those places, especially if you're inside somewhere where you're not allowed to take pictures. So then I'll get like a 5x7 postcard and use that instead of photos, and those fit perfectly in that as well. If you are organizing using the scrap rack system and you want to use scrap rack pages to create and organize your photos, you can put 6 photos in each pocket. So I think of these as a double page spread. So this would be left side, right side. Yes. Pictures. So as I'm again prepping for that album, I'm going to use this to organize 3 double page spreads. So that is the scrap rack. Perfect 6-page, 4x6 pockets, and then we also do the 5x7 page. And again, 5x7 photos, 5x7 postcards are going to fit in there with no problem, and also as well 4x6. But you can group them actually by layout. So that makes it simple, and then keep them in one of our 12x12 binders, whether that's the canvas binder or the 12x12 craft binder. We're going to talk a little bit more about this system when we talk in class number 7 about mementos, journaling, and project planning. You'll see those again. And then last but not least, oh no, not last but not least, will be last but not least. This is the Monica Buddy Bag. Many of you are familiar with Monica. She is a great way to organize about 300 photos. And again, just that bunch. I'm going to a crop. I'm only taking all my Disney photos or whatever. Something like this is perfect for that. It's going to keep you focused at the crop, but you can get about 300 photos into a Monica bag. And again, use your sticky notes to segment out which layouts or which events or whatever they are. And then last but not least is the Flippin' Storage Binder, which again is perfect for organizing by layout, by category. You know, we talked about India. These are the pictures for getting there. Delhi, Mumbai, whatever it is that you did or you're documenting from that trip or event. You're going to be able to group those photos together. So that is it for what we offer to help you get your photos organized. You'll find all that information on our website and lots of links and stuff into the Get Organized Challenge follow-up email. If you are not getting the Get Organized Challenge emails and you believe that you are on the list, please email customer service at Totally-Tiffany and just put email check in the subject line, and Leanne will look to make sure that you are on the email list for the Get Organized Challenge, and if you are not, she will add you and she will let you know either way. Yes, you're on the list. Please check your junk mail, which is where we might be ending up. Or you were not on the list, but you are now, and then you should continue, and then you should get those follow-up emails after that. All right, thanks so much for tuning in today. Have a wonderful, productive week, and I will see you next week. And I think we're talking about embellishments. Take care, everybody.